Yeah.
Do a quick one. Okay, meeting's being recorded. You guys are preserved for posterity. Um, so good, let me do my spiel here. Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Matt Zahner with Better Software. I'm the Director of Customer Development, and this is Thursday's office hours for October 19th. We're going to focus on kind of how to best utilize the software depending on what role you have in the clinic. And such as, for example, veterinarians focus on soaps, while certain people focus on inventory, or in today's case, kind of how the front office uses the software. And specifically, we're going to take a look at some scheduling tricks and some billing tricks. And my apologies to anyone watching this video. This is an abbreviated version from yesterday's office hours, which I unfortunately forgot to record. So if you'd like more info on this, please, a lot of you guys know me. I'm Matt at bettersoftware.com, or give us a call at 844-4VETTER. Again, 844-4VETTER. And then I can elaborate on these things. And I'm going to be speaking my counterparts from Patterson. Paul and Jake are on the line. So if it sounds like I'm having a dialogue with them, well, I am, because we're the same team, and we're just trying to always brainstorm and discover new ways to best support our clients. So cutting to the chase, one of the most, I came upon this idea because last week I went and visited a local clinic, and I do this about once a month, and I watch how people use Vetter. And it was interesting how working, and I sat where the front office sits, and I was checking people out and doing those things, and I realized that, the software is incredibly powerful, but most people only have a certain amount of time, right, to learn the software. And it's generally on the job they're learning it. And so there's a lot of little tricks and insights to Vetter that people, don't know. They don't have time to look in the customer community. So we're hoping with these office hours that more and more clinics will pick up on some of these tricks. And one of the first things I noticed in clinics, and this involves the front office staff, is that many front office people, receptionists, people accepting payment, what have you, they don't have permission to be in most parts of the software. I often said, hey, you can fix that, just go to settings. And they looked at me and they said, where's settings? And then I realized they didn't even have access to settings over here. Somebody asked me, oh, hey, how do I fix the sales tax? I said, oh, no problem, go to settings. They didn't have access. Please speak with your practice manager and or veterinarian, clinic owner, whatever your chain of command may be, and have a look at permissions. And I understand clinics, why they have permissions, because some of the information here maybe is more sensitive than others. But there's certain things that everybody needs to be able to have access to. And I looked in this clinic's permissions, and I looked at a receptionist, for example. They had access to the scheduler, for example, certain things, but for maybe they didn't have an access, for example, they didn't have edit appointments, right? They weren't able to send bulk reminders. They weren't able to reassign tasks. They weren't, for example, they had no access to settings. Now, you can specify what they can do. Maybe you don't want them to have access to permissions, but to be able to access it and use the configurations are incredibly important, right? So maybe you don't want them to do any of these things, but account settings, that matters. To be able to access the configuration portions, of the software. And so these are something that's worthy of discussing within the clinic. So that said, let me show you a couple little tricks I did yesterday. One is a lot of clinics are unaware of what you can do with appointment types. Appointment types are more than just, hey, this is a surgery, this is a vaccine checkup. Appointment types can also be used, for blocking off clinic calendars, such as, maybe it's a time where we get deliveries, or maybe this is when the clinic is closed. Or, let me jump into here. Maybe it is a, oops, I apologize. I'm going to jump into, sorry, a different account. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Pause for laughter. Paul, laugh. Jake, laugh.
You got it.
Thank you. Good job.
Hilarious, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not even in the right account. So, yeah, what do I know? So right here, we look at appointment types. If you take a quick look here, like doctor off, right? Maybe office closed, or, no appointments, office hours, staff meeting. And so you can block off areas on the calendar and do this. This is very easy to do, right? Go here, right? New appointment type, choose whatever you like, and then people love the color palette. Now, I'm an 8 Crayola crayon kind of guy, so this is far too much for me. But those of you who are, palette lovers or not palette challenged, you can then move everything around in here, get all kinds of shades of green, and, knock yourself out. But this is a very valuable tool to managing not just client appointments, but the entire clinic staff. Please take advantage of that. Another little one I pointed out yesterday very quickly was taxes. And again, taxes can be very easily created. Call it sales tax, whatever your rate is. Type state, county, most likely it's just going to be state. Pick your state. Jurisdiction. The great state of Illinois, home to the Patterson Technology Center, where my counterparts work. Yay, PTC. And most likely it's just going to be on, retail items. And you can just pull from your inventory categories and very quickly do this. Hey, retail. Or maybe your state just taxes food. And just like that, you've created a tax. And the great thing is you can't ever make a mistake, because if you need to, just go, if something goes wrong, go view the taxes, and you can come here and you can edit, anything you like right here. Not a problem. Edit or delete. Now, a couple of quick shortcuts. I strongly urge everybody to always check in appointments. A lot of clinics don't check in appointments. Maybe somebody just, there's a walk-in, right? Or because there's an emergency, or they just go directly to the patient screen and add a medical note and medical records. But if you check people in, there are positive downstream effects. And so I would just and what I recommend clinics to do is, on anywhere there's space in the calendar, every day you can make this repeating. You can just call this, and I even made a walk-in column here, for example. But if you didn't, you could make it for any provider. And I just I create a few appointment slots every day. And this is just in case you're not able to have you missed some scheduled ones, right? And I just call it walk-in right there, right? And this client name, patient, this is all optional. We're just using this as a placeholder. And I can make this so that it repeats every day. So I have these spots on the calendar already allocated. I hit next, save, and so that's there. And make a few of these. Because even if somebody rushes in and then after the fact, you can say, doctor, who was that? Oh, Mr. Jones with Fluffy? I can go back in and add that after the fact. So and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. So we add this, and now, okay, I can add, somebody in here. I can say, Homer Simpson was here, and I can say his dog Samuel Helper was here, and I can add, because it doesn't make a difference. You can always change the time afterwards if you want complete accuracy. Remember, they're just placeholders. And we hit next, we hit next, we hit next, we hit save, and when you check people in, this allows you then to check people out using the clinic census. And, now we also have the ability to hover, right? Or not to hover, right? And that was something that was created in settings. And if I show you this up here very quickly, in fact, let me get rid of my bookmarks here to make it a little bit more room. Another thing you can do in Vetter, this is important for front staff, is you can open up multiple browser tabs. Okay, and depending on your device, I have an Apple, so I hit the Command key and I hit click. So whenever the cursor becomes a hand, I put down Command and I press click. On a PC, it might be, right click. And I open up multiple browser tabs. And this is why front office staff should have the ability to have access to settings, because you can choose to hover or not to hover. And in this clinic I was at, one receptionist was hovering, one didn't. This allows you, once I gave them permission, this allows them to customize the software, right, to better suit your needs. Now, I have the hover on, all depends what you prefer. Now in the check-in here, here's a key trick. I love to use bundles. And a lot of clinics say, maybe I didn't have time to create a bundle, or even better and more likely, they say, the receptionist may not know what the bundle is, what's going to happen in that appointment. And that's perfectly understandable. So you know what you do? You create a $0 item bundle. 0 item, 1 item, $0 bundle. So watch this. I'm just going to choose a simple basic soap that's already in the software. And I call it a check-in bundle. And it takes 10 seconds to make. You make it in settings. You make it under bundle. And what I did was, I'm going to use it, new invoice here. Watch this bundle. Nothing's there. And it doesn't print on the invoice either, right? So the client never knows. But by having a bundle, right, I now can easily add charges to anything. An invoice has been created, okay, right here. We have invoice created, a medical note, and it allows you to check in and start a process, because there are positive cascading effects downstream that happen when you check people in. Whether it's, at the time when they walked in or even hours later. Okay, because here's what's going to happen. And I'm just going to jump to the medical note very quickly. And I want to add one thing in the medical note. And notice how I open up another browser tab here, so I can have multiple windows open. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to add a checkout letter. I'm going to show you a couple things. And I'm going to say the letter template. I created this in settings. I'm going to use what do we have here? Exam discharge letter. And, the owner is, right, Homer Simpson. I hit save. And that's it. The letter is now saved to the medical note. And that's all we need to do. So if I jump back to the medical note, right, it's here. I jump back to the medical note and I take a look at documents, you'll see the letter. There it is. Okay, why did I do that? I'll show you this in a moment. Appointment's over. A lot of clinics, when they collect payment, they go directly to billing, right? And then maybe if the client wants reminders, vaccine certificates, etc., if he wants these things added, right, the client, usually have to print them from separate screens, okay? In this case, right, we haven't added any charges yet, but that's not a problem, right? Because it's very easy to do. I've created a check-in bundle. That means they're checked in, an invoice is generated, and then when they go back to the technician, you can say, hey, doctor, hey, the client is Homer Simpson and Santa's Little Helper are ready to go, or you can say that to the technician, and maybe they're the ones who enter the bundle, and they just come in here, they enter an annual exam bundle, boom. And you can take a look here, and voila. So that original bundle, the check-in bundle, won't print, but what it does, it creates an invoice, which allows you to get started, okay? Because now when I want to check somebody out, and I'm going to go right here to the clinic census. This is what makes this, and by the way, also you can move your browser tabs, which allows you to order things the way you want them to see. You take a look here. Hey, this is my command and control center, right? Now notice there's no provider here, but I could just as easily, right? I could move this appointment later when you know who the provider is, right? I can grab the appointment. A lot of clinics don't know this. I can go ahead, oops, I'm sorry, I'm being clumsy there. I'm being clumsy, sorry. And I'm sorry, my dexterity here is not very good. I was going to say you can always edit this later and add a provider in if you needed to, right? So, or you can grab the appointment ride, you can grab the appointment and move them around if you needed to, but you can add that provider in later if needed, right? You can edit it, but let me jump to the census here, and I want to check somebody out, okay? Now, here it is. Notice they're checked in. I can, right, move them around in rooms if I wanted to. Let's just say this is good, you know, being thorough. Say they're in exam room 2, okay? And I hit save, and voila, there they are. And so the appointment's done, and I'm going to go ahead and hit checkout. Right? Oops, sorry, I picked the wrong thing. I meant to pick. They're going to be, you can go through visit complete. Depends how big your clinic is and how thorough you are. It's just an extra step, right? And, or you can just jump directly to checked out. And notice what happens here. Wow, here we have an invoice. Now, amazingly, Homer Simpson has a credit, but we'll remove that credit right there. And we see the invoice for $255. But notice what else I can collect payment right here on the spot. Let's say it's an Amex card. Now, if I click here, notice what I get. I get all the paperwork in one spot. Here's that letter we generated from the appointment. Here's even a receipt. We can include a vaccine certificate, which also includes the rabies certificate if they want that. And we'll even include reminders. And imagine someone walking out of your clinic and you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, please check your phone in 10 seconds, and then they have everything emailed there. So it looks efficient, looks smooth, it looks very professional. Or you can print it on the spot. I'm going to show you the print here. And I hit checkout. I've collected payment in one fell swoop, and I have now sent client communication out. Now, watch this. Wow, I got my vaccine certificate here. Handsome little fellow. I got my reminders. I got my paid invoice. I even have a thank you receipt. I have the exam discharge letter. Right, I didn't put any notes in the SOAP, as you saw, so it's limited. But to have that all in one spot is really nice. And then there's a feature here very few people are aware of, this little locker. And this locker here gives me the history of what happened. So should a client in a very busy clinic, you know, call the next day and complain and say, oh, I had to wait an hour and your staff didn't help me and whatnot, right? You can take a look here and say, well, no, they walked in at 11:17, right? We checked them in at 11:20, right? Visit done. I mean, obviously this is not a real life example. Visit done at 11:24. Wow. And, or maybe if there was a flaw, if somebody did have to wait too long, now you have a history. And this is very important. And the other nice thing about this is that I can check this history also, right, on the client side and the patient side, right? Viewing all appointments. If I go ahead and I view all appointments, okay, and I look at, Homer has a lot of appointments. This is ours today. The walk-in, that locker is here too. So if a client calls and complains, you don't have to go back to the census. You can just look directly here, right? Kind of patient-client, the whole history is there. It's also on the patient side too. So as a front office person, you now have this key information at your disposal without having to call maybe the doctor or somebody else and say, hey, do you remember that guy who came in and what happened? Because you can add notes to any one of these areas, right? You can point out, angry client. I kid you not, the example of me being in the other clinic, a client pulled up and their car broke down directly in front of the clinic. And they called a tow truck without telling the clinic, and the tow truck literally where she had parked or broke down was blocking the front door. So people were walking in, complaining about the tow truck and the noise, and I understand that. You'd be able to take notes there and actually say, oh, client door blocked by tow truck. As odd as that seems, this information is valuable to have. So take advantage of these features. Okay. Everything you did here, payment-wise, is going to be confirmed in billing. If you want to confirm it, just go to billing, click on payments, and voila! Oh, here's Homer Simpson's payment. Okay. I'm going to pause briefly. Paul and Jake, does this make sense to you? What I'm doing?
Yeah, it absolutely does. I've seen the checkout process and everything. Absolutely.
Good. You guys teach people to use the check-in bundle?
I don't know what they on the training portion. I don't know that they do or not. Whenever I went through it, demoing it before, I'd never mentioned a check-in bundle. No.
Okay, so this is it's a little trick, because what it does, it gets that process going, because you have to have something, when you check somebody in, you have to have an invoice started. There's not a no invoice option, right? And so it's a good way to start it. And so a lot of clinics say, hey, I don't know what to put in the beginning. Just create a $0 or $0 check-in bundle, right? And I just go to templates here. I look at my bundles, and here's my check-in bundle, right? Check-in item, non-medical, 0, don't print on invoice, and it starts the process. So it's a little trick that, it's one of these about mastering the software that a lot of people, understandably are not always aware of. And you guys point out, were you aware of the little locker?
Yeah, I was aware of the locker there, how it tracks progress. Mm-hmm. Okay,
good, because I find a lot of clinics aren't aware of the locker. They're like, oh, what's that, right? And so I think that's very important for large clinics in terms of handling complaints. And there's one other thing I wanted to emphasize. I emphasized this yesterday. I'm going to make another quick appointment here. Is front office staff, it's a really good idea to get in the habit, right, of saying, how did you hear about us? Who referred you to us? Okay? And so where it says here, referral source, it might be, I heard about you in an ad. I heard about you on Yelp. I heard about you in a local radio ad. Because this is important for clinic owners to know, right, really where their revenue is coming from. Somebody walks in and said, I heard you on a local radio ad. It's as simple as this. Ad company, save, done. Right? Now I'm checking him in. And why that part matters is this. I'm going to, in the check-in process here, I'm going to give them there we go. So new invoice, I'm just going to grab a new invoice here. And I'm going to give them, so there's some charges on the account. And so they're checked in now. And what's really nice about getting referrals is for clinic owners, so front office staff, they want to know where business comes from. You can then go to reports. And under reports, there's a referral source summary, which your clinic owners and practice managers are going to want to look at. Oh, local. So if I get here, let me just take the whole month of October, right? It is going to track everybody, right? This example I used yesterday, the Helena Gazette type ad or what have you. And you can track how much business came. Now, I didn't put in the cost of this. That's done in settings. But you can track how much business is coming from each referral. Maybe, for example, some of these might even come from, let's say, certain, maybe they're just regular clients. Maybe it's your normal clientele. So, for example, I think I have more referrals back then, and I look at this and I go, wow, Bruce Willis has been referring us, right? And Donald Duck's been referring us. And if you notice somebody gives us a lot of referrals, I might send an email to them and say, hey, thanks a lot. Next time get 10% off or, what have you. So it's adding the referral source in the check-in process, right, again, creates positive cascading effects downstream. So that's an abbreviated version of yesterday's. Yesterday's was over an hour, so I had a lot of questions. Do you guys have any observations or insights you can offer? Or?
Quite honestly, I don't.
Okay. Do you guys do you guys have a lot of questions about referral sources and things?
Not too many on the referral side of things. I think we get more questions around bundling in the check-in process. So this is helpful.
Okay, good. And then one other thing I wanted to point out was, I pointed this out yesterday, is if you're still doing billing traditionally, and this is doing a vetter mea culpa, is we recognize that the checkout process in terms of adding items to a bill, those can be improved. And so if I take, for example, this invoice here, and let's say someone comes at time of checkout, and this is for a front office staff, right? And somebody says, hey, I want to buy that bag of, Hills Science Food, right, over there. And I add new item, right? This is, that's already one click. I type in, the food item, say here it is. Now, this becomes a second click. The patient's name should be, right, this should auto default because you clearly already have an invoice created for, in this case, Smurfette. So this then becomes, right, a third click. Okay, and if I go through here, this then becomes a fourth click. And let's say they want to add another item. This then becomes a fifth click, and then save and add new becomes a sixth click. And so in office hours, I also want to be fair and describe areas where the product needs to improve. And we are building, we're actually actively working on this right now to reduce the amount of clicks. So a few things that you'll see in the near future is, I don't know, let me just add this here, is that this will auto default and have a name in here, the patient name automatically. Secondly, we are going to condense information onto one screen. You still need all these fields because they might be, very valuable, but we're going to put this on one screen to reduce the extra click. And save and add new will be the default after the first one instead of save and close. So trying to prevent more clicks, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to have both available so you don't have to do this extra click. While it does not seem like much, it adds up. So I just wanted to make, my Patterson friends and everybody aware out there that we are aware of this. This I agree with can be done better. And that's one of the beauties of cloud-based software, right, is we can iterate and develop rather quickly. And so this will be coming to, let's say, a theater near you soon. We will have improvements there in this checkout process. Now, this is just in case you're doing it manually, so I wanted to make people aware of that. Okay. Other than that, I wonder if there's any other thoughts or questions you guys might have, or.
Well, I don't have any questions. I thought
okay.
you've done a really good job, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, same here.
Jake. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm going to stop the recording now, and I wish you guys a great rest of the day.
All right, you do the same, sir.
Thank you. You too.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye, Abigail.
Bye, Matt.